I'm going to click on create a new portal, and I will call this portal, I'll wrap it with braces. So we have demo conference request, we'll call it. And we'll just remove the demo from the URL. When you create a portal, we have the ability to add existing content. So if you had previously imported content or linked content to Huddle, you can access it here. Or you can choose from a predefined set of modules. We're always adding to this list. So this right now, we have 4 different templates. For this particular use case, I'm going to select request management. And what these templates really are is a collection of best practice for whatever the use case is. So if there's a catalog sheet and a data call or a tracker sheet, we include those with these modules. And when you provision the portal, I'll switch back over to Smartsheet and between Huddle. So once this actually completes, maybe I'll switch over there so I'm not preemptively doing that. But let's see, it's always slow on a demo. I apologize. All right, we got the notice that it's been created. I'll reload my Smartsheet space, and you'll see that Huddle has programmatically created our demo conference request workspace. And in that workspace, you'll find a folder that has a request catalog sheet and a request tracker sheet. Now, each one of these sheets serves a purpose in our solution. And obviously within Smartsheet, we can expand upon the capabilities of this. But right out of the box, the portal needs some of these data sources in order to function. And we're all Smartsheet users. We know that we can create metric sheets and charts, reports, and graphs that we could put up on a dashboard to show the number of requests, the number of groups making the requests, all those amazing different metrics we can pull from this. We're actually not going to build any of that stuff today on this demo. We're actually going to just focus on the portal. So as you can see, when the portal was provisioned, it created the artifacts that we need in order to give it the data it needs to work properly. So I'm going to open up that request catalog sheet, and you'll see that there are a few columns in here that we've identified. I do have another screen that has some pre-baked content. So here we go. We have a bunch of data now in our catalog sheet that we can use to select from. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of do some formatting stuff here really quick. Obviously, this is a very fast spin up of a predefined template where we're loading some data in there. We may want to do things where there's some conditional formatting, some sheet summary stuff, some cross-sheet references, maybe automations, etc. But just for this demo, we are going to focus on setting up the portal. I'm going to switch back and let's open it up. So let's see what the portal actually looks like. So here we go. Right out of the box, you get a blue theme with a sort of a page layout that's got some stuff here. Now, all of this is pulling data from Smartsheet right away. So just kind of letting you guys know that this is looks like a website. I'll see if I could shrink this down for you as well. It's all mobile responsive as well. So on a mobile phone, it stacks. On a tablet, it fits. And on a desktop, it looks great. Let's go back in and configure our portal. So first things first, let's do settings. So we already have a portal name, a URL. Let's go ahead and pick a logo. I'm going to pick a logo that some of us might know and run. And then down below, you can see a couple of things, localization to several languages. We also have a couple of predefined color themes available. So right now, I'm just going to kind of leave this, but if we wanted to customize the theme, we could do that here. And we also provide a complete set of like color pickers and other settings as well. If you're more advanced, you could input your own CSS. And then obviously we can configure the header and the footer to match whatever links we need to have to whatever sections of the site we need to have. I'm going to focus solely on provisioning these pages so we can walk through the use case. Step one in all of this is setting up the module. So when we selected the module in the beginning of this portal provisioning process, we chose the request management. Now, as I mentioned previously, that includes a catalog sheet and a request sheet. We know that these sheets are basically identified as output and input. Some of these sheets may have different columns. This allows us to kind of see everything at a very high level. So we have a column name, we have a column type, And then we have this ability to toggle whether it's active in the portal or not. This will actually allow us to disable items, right? So if I don't want any of this to populate, I can prevent that from happening. The match to user is used for filtering. So similar to how you would set up a report in Smartsheet where you would filter by current user, that's similar to that functionality. So you could see it's looking for contact list types. So we have a created by, we have an assigned to, which I'll enable here. Additionally, we have filtering columns. So this is a brand new concept to all of kind of Smartsheet stuff. This allows us to create a page that might have a list of things and then filter that list of things using a search box or drop down values, right? And in this enable filtering column, we can basically turn those on. So for this demo, I'll turn on category and subcategory. I don't think I'll put anything else either. All right, so that's configuring the sheet columns first. Next, we'll move over to form configuration. Now, form configuration allows us to capture inputs or requests. So in this demo, we're gonna take conference room reservation requests. We have the ability to use this pre-made Huddle form, or we can use an external link, which could be a Smartsheet link to a Smartsheet form, and you can use that externally from this. The one benefit of using the Huddle form is that we are basically creating sheets in a relational sense. So my form for capturing those requests might have request title, but catalog ID, the user might not know that. But if they're looking at a particular page coming from a row that has a catalog ID associated to it, I can map data from one sheet to another, which would disable it from the form, but behind the scenes pass that data through. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do that for a couple of these. I'll leave requester name and email open just because in this demo we're not going to do the full, complete implementation where we can automate a lot of this stuff. Request date will take away. Status will take away. Priority will leave. Assigned to. Response time, resolution. Comments, notes will leave. We'll turn off a few of these things. And then I'll save my form. And then finally, in the module settings area, we can see the two sheets that we have. And as we use this module throughout the site and use different widgets to display the data coming from these sheets, we need to identify the basic data that would be used for titles. So in the catalog, I would say the catalog item is the title. The description matches pretty well. Category and date, I'll just choose that one. Let's go down here and say request title. I will say comments, most likely for this column. Let's give this one priority and then also request date. Now what I've done is basically map these columns to these output. I've mapped these columns to these sort of widget display data points. So we know that if I use a widget that has a title, it's going to say the title is this. It's perfect. All right. Going back to the portal, nothing's changed. Let's start with the listing page. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up in a new page. You can see that there is nothing here and it's not even formatted. So I'm going to go in and edit this. I'm going to throw some really quick stuff in here. All right, get that out of the way. And then here you can see a row and column system. This is following, general CSS grid frameworks. It's a very simple drag and drop page builder. I'm able to basically set up my columns so that for any different type of device, we can have mobile, tablet, etc. I can specify different widths. So if I say that on a larger screen, this might be half width, and on the smaller screen, it will be full width. You can see that my column has changed here. I can add a new column. I could say this one's 4. I could add a new column and say, let's say this one's 2 wide. That'll stack all these things up appropriately. The one cool thing here is that I'll add a simple list widget, which I'll kind of go into in a second here. But we can then drag and drop widgets from column to column. It's pretty cool. Very simple, no code page editor. I'm going to go ahead and basically reset my settings. So when I'm in a column, I can click add a widget, which would pop up this sort of select a widget component. We give you guys a predefined set of a bunch of different widgets for different purposes. They display data, they capture updates, they do different things. They basically support your use cases. For this example, I'm going to go ahead and select the list widget. That list widget's going to open up with a couple of different settings. So right out of the gate, there's nothing here. I need to select a data source right out of the gate. So first up, we only really have the one, but then I'm going to come in here and say that my catalog sheet is going to be the source for this list. I'll go ahead and create that right here. Maybe I'll say conference room request catalog, maybe. Then in here, I can do a couple of other predefined things like select a sort column. Let's sort it by the name, sort direction, ascending. Yeah, let's enable search on this page. Let's enable paging. And then let's assume that if somebody selects an item from this page, it need to go somewhere. So we need to select a detail page destination. When we provision the portal, knowing the module, we have to, it automatically knows to create a list and a detail page. So we'll point them to that page automatically. That is pretty much it when you set this up. There are some additional styling things. You can add icons or text colors with these color pickers. There's custom actions that don't really apply to lists, but filtering, if we wanted to, before it hits the screen, like on the system side, we can filter using grouped filters similar to the report builder. On Smartsheet, we can do time-based. So if we want to say that we had the ability to capture reservations for particular rooms, we can filter out that data using these time-based filters. And then ultimately, the last filter in these set of filters is similar to that current user filter on reports. So here I would probably match my column to this, which means the logged in user would only see data specific to them. All that said, I'm going to go ahead and save the page so we can go ahead and see it. So let's jump back to that empty page from before. We'll reload this. And now you can see that I have a bunch of different information here. Obviously, I can continue to style this. So if I wanted to come here, I could probably add a class and say this is a card. This will just give it a nice little white background for this demo. But basically, here you go. All right. So in here, you can see that we have our sheet that has 20 rows, and we have all of the rows showing here, right? The one thing that I forgot to tell you guys was items per page. Let's do 10. Let's split that list in half. Going back here, I'll reload the page. Now you'll see that it's going to cut that list in half and page them. So I can have sort of the ability to kind of scroll through different pages. Kind of cleans up my view a little bit. Obviously, we can go back and do some more custom styling, which I sometimes I get a little excited doing, Let's just do one more quick thing here. See if we can't make this look just a little bit better. All right. So looking at this, we have a couple of cards here that kind of show the title, the description, and then it'll link out to that detail page. I can also flip over to a list. I can search for, let's say, room L. That's not on this page, but it's going to find it. Room S. Oh, look at that. It's going to find room M and S because this may have room S in that description or another component here. Let's go ahead and filter by category. So we have conference rooms, we have meeting rooms, we have board rooms. This allows us to really drill down to specific multi sort of faceted filtering here. So if I wanted to do, let's see, conference, or actually that's a silly one. That's all the titles are conference, so that's not going to work. But let's say we do video, right? So I've been able to kind of apply several layers of filtering to narrow down to these two. If I want to go ahead and make a reservation, let's go ahead and click view. You're going to see an empty page. So first off, same experience. Pages out of the box don't have all of the different widgets. But as you can see, it's absolutely no code to get this done. I'm going to go ahead and add these classes again. I'll remove the title. And since this is a detail page in the page information, we do want to select the detail module. So I'm just aligning it to that catalog sheet where all this data is coming from. So let's go ahead and save that. And then as we saw previously, we have that same row and column set up. I'm going to try to get a little fancy here. Keep in mind that I'm trying to do this as fast as possible, so it's not going to be the best. We have a title widget here. It's got the ability to kind of either have some hard-coded title, where I could type in welcome to Huddle or welcome to the request page, right? I'm going to use this dynamic page data. So knowing that I click the link, this is looking for row-specific information for, I believe it was row S that I had clicked, right? So it's going to pull this row out and populate that information into this page. So I can use that for filtering, for dynamic data output. I'm basically going to say the catalog item is going to be the title. So we're basically going to be able to build this page one time and have it dynamically show data for all individual pages. So now I'm going to go in and select a detail widget, and the detail widget will have a module. We're going to select that same data source, right? I seem to have a little tiny bug here. I'm going to remove the discussion capability. I'll include forms. We will not include attachments. You can include a row attachment if you need to. And then let's put some information in here, room information. And then now we can basically select columns from the sheet to populate the page itself. We have the ability to kind of style a couple of different ways to put data up here. I'm going to go ahead and select a bunch of different types of data points. So there might be some redundant information here, but bear with me. I am just trying to get you guys a visual for how this is going to look. Let's throw these in here. And again, these are all completely customizable. While we're building this page, we're laying out the columns, we're selecting predefined styles. But if you have a little bit of knowledge on how to do some styling, you can extend this completely. We can extend this completely to kind of just make this fit your company branding, do all that different fun stuff. So I'm going to just continue going through here and typing some random things. I'll select some more items, availability. These will be different styled outputs. And then I'll do another section. So more information, right? So let's go ahead and select tags. Let's go ahead and do related services, but then let's do like pill. Let's pick statistic and let's do like compact here. Okay. So going through here, again, there's really nothing else I want to do on this page, but I'll go ahead and save it. And now that that's saved, let's jump back over to this detail page that we just built. I'll hit refresh and you'll see some stuff come through. So now this is our page. Let's do some more just really quick styling. So I want to maybe left align that title, and then also let's try this. I might not want to have a white background on this. All right, as you can see, that white background is not really working for us. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. And then switch back over. All right, so let's just leave this as is, but we'll walk through this. So right up top, you see we have a dynamic page title, and then there's these different sections that we had put together with these headers, and you can see that there's a lot of information that's populating here. All that information is coming from row 13 in our sheet. So as we saw that list, and then clicked into the element itself, we are just basically exposing that row data and the data that we selected into a nice site for users to kind of just see the information in a way that makes sense to them. Now, I'm going to put my end user hat on and submit a request. I'd like to request conference room J catalog item 10, right? So I'm going to go ahead and say that my request title is QBR room needed. Requester name, again, we can set this up for you guys in a longer than 20 minutes, get you guys set up with some more dynamic data. But for this demo, I'm just going to kind of put in my own stuff just for speed. I can go ahead and select a priority for my request, and then additionally say that we also need a TV. And if I need to upload any information to support my request, I can do that here, and it'll attach that as an attachment on the row in my tracker sheet. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and you'll see that I entered just a little bit of information, and I'm going to switch over to my tracker sheet. And now that I can kind of see some of the data that was captured in that form, I can also see the information that I submitted shows up, and the information I didn't submit shows up. So this was pulled from the page dynamically, right? So behind the scenes, that form that we sort of mapped those columns to when we built the form, now that data is flowing through to the tracker sheet, so we can do appropriate routing for notifications on the Smartsheet side. We can do appropriate filtering for reports or metrics for dashboards that we want to display. This really helps set us up to standardize the way the data flows between all these different artifacts, so there is no manual user input or the need to keep drop-down values updated manually or via data shuttle. This allows us to pull data and sort of treat these sheets relationally so that the data flows and the system flows that data for us. So the integrity is intact and visibility is kind of brought to light as we are able to share this across many, many sheets. So once my request has been made, you see it in the tracker. Now, ideally on the Smartsheet side, we would set up a couple of workflows for maybe there's an approval or a review or an assignment. We know that somebody who is part of category conference room gets routed to Linda, and Linda then goes and says, yep, I can get that ready for you by that date, no problem, it's on my list. Let's assume that that was assigned. But in this case, let's assign it to, this is a brand new sheet, so this isn't set up, but let's assign it to Demo Dynamo, right? That's the user that I am logged in with. Let's also set up a pretend secondary submission and assign it to Frank. So now you guys have seen our list page to output a list of rows from a sheet, filtering, searching, viewing individual row data as a detail page. Let's switch over and show how we can handle those requests from within Huddle as well. So this is the home page. One of the things that we didn't really cover were some of these other widgets, but when you spin up a page, you get a hero widget, and a hero widget is basically just a big title, big bold background, and a subheader. You can apply a background image, you can do overlays, so we can really extend this so that we have the ability to make this page really look like ourselves, or our branding, or whatever we're trying to do here. So I am going to quickly just kind of jump in and grab an image really quick. Okay, so I just pulled an image from another site. I'm going to go ahead and save this, update this, so you can see that, you know, with no code, we can actually extend this to make this look better. If we have banner images that align with our brand guidelines, we can do that as well. Additionally, in the theme section, we're able to change the fonts to match our fonts and color palette to match our color palette and so on. I'm not going to spend too much time styling because I'm approaching my time limit here, but I do want to show everybody this approval widget. So let's put the hat on of, maybe it was Linda that managed the conference room request, right? She's got to get it ready. So I'm going to go ahead and select a new type of widget. We have one called approvals. And an approval widget is a really streamlined way to capture things from actionable sheets, action item sheets, trackers, data call trackers, stuff like that. So let's say that we want to pull this in from the tracker. I would like to say conference room request. Now, in this sheet, we want to basically identify what the status column is, and then what the open status is, which I believe is open, and then the closed status is closed. We're going to use this information to sort of filter what's displayed here. Next, in data and filtering, I will show you that in a second. Actually, I want to save this to kind of show you guys what's going on. So we have changed the layout of the site. So now that there's a little bit more here, the one thing that I do want to do really quick is add a little bit of a card background to this. Okay, so when we open this back up, you can see that we have this new widget here that's got open tasks, completed tasks. And if I click on open, you can see it's showing QBR room needed and QBR room needed 2. These are the two tracker sheet items that I had inputted. One was the form submission, one was the clone. We've assigned them to these two different people. You're seeing both of them because I haven't set up any filters. But let's go ahead and set up a filter to just kind of show how this works. So let's say I wanted to filter by, catalog item ID. We would say equals maybe 10, and that would filter out based off catalog item ID. They're both 10, so that's not going to work here. So I'll remove that grouping. But let's filter by user. So I want to use my logged in user as the basis for the filter. We just need to identify the column that it's assigned to. So in this case, it's the assigned to column. Now that when I save this and I reload this page, I will only see items that are assigned to me specifically. So now you can go back. I'm logged in as Demo Dynamo, and what happens is that filter gets applied and I'm only seeing my QBR room needed. So I'll click on View, and you can see that I have a couple of different items here. So I see the title, there's a date, and there's a little bit more setup that we could have done on the back end, but a simple description to say this, and then discussions around these requests. So I can say, do you also need coffee? And I'll go ahead and submit this. You can see my comment's been posted. And as mentioned before, we don't take anything away or, really bypass anything in Smartsheet. We think Smartsheet's amazing, so we built stuff to support it. So now on that same request that came in, you can see that conversation is being tracked on the conversation item. Additionally, if I had uploaded attachments to my form to request that room, they would be attached to the attachment section for this row as well. Another really cool feature that we had another customer kind of bring to our attention that they wanted was the ability to create a form that has the ability to upload images to each individual cell. So we're able to kind of extend that form capability by allowing uploads for each individual cell, which would apply that image to it. Pretty cool stuff that we can do here. But at a minimum, once this request is done, maybe I'm going to say, okay, this is approved. I got this taken care of. I would hit this to close it out. It's going to slide it off my open task list, and eventually it'll pop into my completed task list. But I'm going to jump back over to my sheet, and actually you just saw it right there. The status updated to approve, which means that it is done. It's off my list. And now through automations or other things, we can move this around or do different things. And maybe on the portal, we can find a few more pages to kind of support those things. But that is a extremely fast overview of how to set up a portal for a use case such as conference room requests. So a lot of stuff going on here, but in about 30 minutes, we were able to not only get this portal set up, but get some of the Smartsheet components set up right out of the box with no customization or anything else. Again, these portals are easy and flexible to set up, no coding skills required, and they are mobile responsive. So again, my name's Frank. Thank you so much for watching this demo, and I'm going to pass it back. Thanks.